In the Battle of Parwan, Sultan Jalal al-Din Khwarazm Shah dealt the Mongols a crushing defeat. It was the first major victory that shattered the enemy's morale. Several renowned Mongol commanders were killed. For a moment, it seemed that if a few more victories followed, even Genghis Khan himself might be forced to retreat. But the course of history is not always changed by the sword. Sometimes, a small disagreement becomes the cause of great destruction. After the battle, the spoils of war were being distributed. Among them was an exceptionally beautiful and swift horse. It was over this horse that a dispute began between Amin al-Mulk and Saif al-Din Igrak. The argument intensified. Tempers flared. One struck the other's horse with a whip. The quarrel escalated into a physical fight. Swords were drawn, and in the chaos, Saif al-Din's brother was killed. This incident was more dangerous than an enemy attack because it was an internal conflict. Sultan Jalal al-Din found himself in an extremely difficult position. If he punished Amin al-Mulk, his supporters would be angered. If Saif al-Din's brother's blood was not avenged immediately, thousands of soldiers might abandon the army. The Sultan wanted the matter to be decided according to Sharia, through the judgment of scholars and due justice, but emotions were already inflamed. Saif al-Din began to suspect that perhaps the Sultan was siding with his relative. In anger, he declared, "I defeated the Mongols, and my brother receives no justice?" Saif al-Din decided to leave the army. When the Sultan was informed, he immediately went after him. He stopped him, reasoned with him, spoke of the importance of unity, but the situation was slipping out of control. The Sultan's voice trembled. He wept and said, "Saif al-Din, fear Allah. This is not the time to separate, but to stand united." Saif al-Din paused for the moment, but under the cover of night, he quietly departed toward Nangarhar. When the Sultan awoke the next morning, the tents were empty. A large portion of the army had gone. That was the moment when unity broke before the enemy could strike. And it was this fractured unity that would later lay the foundation for the catastrophic battle on the banks of the Indus. After Saif al-Din and the Turks departed, various speculations began to spread among the remaining soldiers of Sultan Jalal al-Din. Some said, the Turks fled out of fear of the Mongols. Perhaps they believe the Mongols are not human, but some kind of creature against whom swords and arrows have no effect. Others said, these men have broken their pledge. Out of arrogance and cunning, they have abandoned the struggle. This deception will surely take its revenge. The more the talk increased, the deeper the suspicion grew. But what had happened had already happened. Outwardly, there now seemed nothing capable of stopping Genghis Khan. The discord among the Mujahideen under Sultan Jalal al-Din's command became a prelude to a great defeat before the final victory. Saif al-Din, Azam Malik, and other companions were killed weeks later, either in rebellious conflicts or at the hands of the Mongols. Genghis Khan, like a wounded beast, was burning with the fire of revenge. As soon as he learned that division had broken out within the Sultan's army, he gathered his scattered forces and, like a storm, pursued the Sultan with his great army. Sultan Jalal al-Din was left with only 30,000 soldiers, while the enemy's forces were many times larger. The Sultan sent envoys to reconcile the rebellious emirs, reminding them of the sanctity of Islam and the condition of the Ummah. Rather than standing in an open field for a direct confrontation, he decided to march east of Ghazni. His objective was clear. If the rebellious leaders realized their past mistakes, they could regroup near the Indus River, form a new army, and face Genghis Khan together.
If they remained stubborn, then crossing the Indus could at least save them from the Mongol assault. At that time, Sultan Jalal al-Din was himself severely weakened by colic. Even walking was difficult for him, and such a long journey while leading an army seemed beyond human strength. The physician advised that the Sultan should rest in bed. Even his attendants and emirs suggested carrying him on a litter. But the Sultan rejected all of this. He said, if the people see that their leader is helpless, the army's morale will collapse. He mounted his horse, concealing his pain, and marched from Ghazni. Remarkably, during the journey, his health began to improve. Despite severe suffering, he displayed strength and courage before all.
Genghis Khan was advancing like an earthquake, with a vast army spread across an immense territory. His primary objective was clear: to ensure that the emirs who had defected from Sultan Jalal al-Din would not be able to rejoin and reinforce him. Genghis ordered his forces to advance in such a way that no reinforcements could reach the Sultan. The rebellious emirs, along with their respective troops, had dispersed toward different regions. The Mongol forces blocked the routes to those areas so that the Sultan would be completely cut off from them. When Genghis Khan reached Ghazni, he learned that the Muslim army had departed 5 days earlier. Genghis resolved that the Sultan would not be allowed to slip away. He commanded his army to march day and night without pause. No one was permitted to dismount to prepare food. His forces were covering multiple stages in a single day, and their numbers had grown even larger than before. The pursuit was long and exhausting. On one side, the Sultan's cavalry drove their horses at full speed. On the other, Genghis Khan's horsemen were drawing closer like lightning and storm. The distance was shrinking moment by moment. Sultan Jalal al-Din changed his route from Peshawar and marched toward the Indus River. For him, crossing the river had now become essential so that he could seek the support of the Muslim ruler of Hind, Shams al-Din Iltutmish, and together their united forces might block the Mongol flood. Genghis Khan anticipated this plan as well. He ordered his vanguard units to prevent the Sultan from crossing the river and to keep him engaged until the main army arrived. These vanguard forces advanced with great speed, riding far ahead of the main host. In pursuit of the Sultan, they reached Jardin. As soon as intelligence reached him, the Sultan decided that before reaching the Indus, it was necessary to annihilate these enemy detachments. Under the cover of night, the Sultan launched a sudden attack with his devoted warriors. The Mongols, arrogant in their belief that they were merely trampling a fleeing army, were thrown into confusion by the surprise assault. Arrows from the Muslims descending from the hills rained upon them. The vanguard soldiers lost their composure. Within moments, the Sultan's mujahideen shattered the enemy ranks, breaking them into scattered groups. After a few powerful charges, the field was cleared, and most of the vanguard troops were slain. Sultan Jalal al-Din did not pursue the fleeing remnants. Instead, he immediately led his army toward the lower valleys. When Genghis Khan heard the news, he was once again enraged, but he continued the relentless pursuit.
The Muslims had now descended from the winding mountain passes and reached close to the Indus River. By crossing the river, they could have been safe from Genghis Khan's immediate assault. But here, the river was extremely deep and its current swift. Without boats, crossing it was impossible. The Sultan sent men toward the riverside villages to search for boats, but informants reported that the Mongol vanguard was drawing near. To delay them, the Sultan dispatched his finest commanders, yet they returned after suffering considerable losses. In the search for boats, only a single vessel could be found. Sultan Jalal al-Din's household was also with him.
his mother, wives, children, and the women of his family. He attempted to place them in the boat and send them across the river, but the boat could not bear the weight and broke apart. At that moment, had the Sultan chosen his own safety, he could have withdrawn somewhere under the pretext of protecting his family, but his honor and faith would not permit it. He resolved that his life and the lives of his family would be lived or lost alongside the soldiers who stood with him in every circumstance. Now there was no path left except confrontation. A direct clash with Genghis Khan was imminent. The Sultan selected a position along the riverbank where the rear and flanks would be relatively secure and from which maximum damage could be inflicted upon the enemy. Genghis Khan's forces were advancing rapidly in a semicircular formation, and every path of retreat for the Muslims had been sealed. At last, one night, Genghis Khan's armies caught up with Sultan Jalal al-Din's forces at a place where, on one side, rose the towering waves of the Indus, and on the other, rugged mountain ranges. This place was the riverbank of Nilab on the Indus. Here, a lush plain 5 miles wide and 12 miles long was confined between the river and the mountain chain. Upon observing the valley, Sultan Jalal al-Din felt that for confronting the Mongol flood, no better ground could have been chosen. Near the confluence of the Indus and Kabul rivers, he entered the valley from the lower ground and established camp at its far end. Behind them flowed a stream, the Saga River, which joined the Indus at a place called Goda Tarab. Throughout the night, the Sultan's army prepared for the decisive battle of the following day. In the faint light of dawn, the Sultan saw that the Mongol hordes, like a swarm of locusts, had entered the valley from the opposite side and sealed every route of return or escape. This place, this valley, and these preparations were the prelude to one of the greatest and most cataclysmic battles in history. The moment was near when Sultan Jalal al-Din and his small yet fearless army would form their final ranks before the vast forces of Genghis Khan, and on the banks of the Indus a confrontation would unfold that would be remembered for centuries.